all to kind of like wake up and tap into our hearts and start to operate from that space. So.
CNN. Hi, Amanda. Kitty O'Keefe with CNN. Thank you so much for talking to the media today. You talk about choosing life, and you're here with your family in such a strong community here in Maui. How does this experience change you and your life purpose moving forward?
The message that I kept getting when I was there was that this is not punishment. Because the first 5 days, I just wanted to play victim and crawl into a hole and be like, why me? This is not punishment. This is a strong opportunity. All I see is opportunity and light. And you asked me a question. I go on a tangent, and then I can't remember your question. Can you ask that one more time?
You talked about choosing life.
Yes.
And how does that change your life purpose going forward now that you've survived?
So it's interesting, I've had a lot of spiritual work done over the last 4 years since I've lived in Maui. I've completely transformed as a person. And my purpose, I believe, all along has been I want to help suffering. The whole world is suffering in some way. There's so many people that are depressed, that are numb, that are in a state of unconsciousness. And I want everybody to be able to enjoy life, really. So it's interesting, I'm a physical therapist. I call myself more of a healer than a PT at this point, and yoga instructor, obviously, all that other stuff. But my whole purpose before this happened was like, I want to get you out of pain. I want you to be able to enjoy life. Yeah, really, that's it. It's like, let's get each other happier again. And now it's kind of like it just kept coming in when I was there. It's like, your purpose is to wake people up. Your purpose is to shake people alive, to realize that we all have this same thing inside of us. I'm no different than anybody else. And we all get to choose life on a daily basis. We all get to choose happiness. It's like which wolf we feed, right, on our shoulders. So making decisions and actions and behaviors that are backing that up to we create the life that we live. So really it's interesting that it's shifted so much from a place of like, let me just put my hands on a patient and try my best to get them out of pain and to have them enjoy life a little bit, to like, now it feels more like widespread, like I'm reaching a bigger body of people, which is beautiful. And I'm just looking for that pyramid effect in the most beautiful way. That's a bad word, but if somebody has a different word, I'll use it. But that branch effect, where we can all just be like spreading our arms out, touching as many people as possible to create that like positive shift in light and heart. So you're welcome.
CBS?
Hey there, my name is Sean. First, thank you for inviting us yesterday. I'm still recovering, so hopefully I can be as articulate as you have been. People who are unfamiliar with Hawaii may not understand how easy it is to get disoriented in the forest, in the jungles. Can you explain how you lost your sense of direction?
Yeah.
From that meditation?
Totally. It's so interesting because the story starts off like, I just got lost in the woods, It's hard to explain what happened. That's a very grounded way to put it, getting like disoriented in the forest. But there was something bigger at play, But to answer your question specifically, I will say Makawao Forest, anybody that's been there searching, you guys know, you turn your head one way and it looks exactly like the other way, exactly like the other way. I'm like, which way is north, which way is my car? So Makawao Forest in particular, there's something very tricky there in that particular forest. Haleakala, I have my bearings. Other places on the island, I have my bearings. But that particular, it's just like it all went out the window. And the only thing I could say is that, I started off that morning and I said, I had plans with my friend. They got canceled. And I said, I have the whole day to myself. What do I want to do? I need to connect to nature. I need to ground. And it just came in so strong, Makawao Forest. I was like, that's weird. I haven't been there in forever. So I just went up there, got out of my car. I was like, well, I'll go for like a 3-mile hike. I really love to stay away from EMF. I love to stay away from cell phones. I love to just truly dig my feet in the dirt and connect to nature and feel that. And so that's my goal, 3 miles, whatever, a couple hours. And I don't really know what happened. All I can say is that I got out of my car. It's like, I have a strong sense of internal guidance, whatever you want to call that, a voice, spirit, everybody has a different name for it. Heart. My heart was telling me, walk down this path, go left. Great. Go right. It was so strong. Go left, go right, go left, right. I'm like, great. This is so strong that obviously when I turn around and go back to my car, it's going to be just as strong when I go back, but it wasn't.
At what point did you realize you were lost?
It was probably that. So I took a break. I sat down, I laid down on a tree, I was looking at the sky, and when I got up and I tried to go back the way that I came, which I had a sense of direction at that point, the path was not leading me back to my car. And I tried all these different paths, and then I was like, oh shoot, these are not bike paths, these are not walking paths, these are boar paths. So the boar paths were just leading me into boars' dens and off-roading essentially. And so at that point I had no choice because everything looked the same. I said, well, the only thing I have is my gut. I don't have a compass, I don't have a cell phone. So spirit or whatever you want to pray to, I said, I need your help right now. I need to get back to my car. Please help guide me. And I have, like I said, I have a strong sense of guidance. So I started following that sense of guidance. And that sense of guidance is what led me on my journey. That's what led me 5 miles away. And I believe that there is a bigger purpose to my story. It's not just a girl that got lost in the woods. It's this. It's everything that's happening right now. And that's why I was so off the beaten path. Is because this is the result that needed to happen from my experience.
New York Times, Maria? I'm not sure if you're representing New York Times, but do you have a question? Oh, yeah.
I wanted to ask, can you talk a little bit more about your experiences that were meaningful to you out there?
Yeah. It was all meaningful. I'm trying to think of
Or moments maybe of beauty that made it more survivable?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting, it was almost, I've been working with a beautiful psychic named Ruth, and I've been working with a lot of, the strongest teachers in the world have come to me over the last 6 months. To help guide me in a variety of ways. And little did I know they were preparing me for what I'm calling spiritual boot camp, which is what I went through. And Ruth recently, the psychic I've been working with, she knows, she guided me through this meditation. She was like, you're ready for your spiritual boot camp. And I'm laughing with Benny, my boyfriend. I'm like, we're going through spiritual boot camp, and we do so much spiritual work on a daily basis. I didn't think I would be going through the gauntlet by any means. I thought I was doing enough work. And every day there was like a different lesson. Every step there was a different lesson. It was like I think the biggest thing that happened is I had to really get out of my head. I'm a very logistical, analytical person, multitasking, organization. All of that fell by the wayside. I had to just leave all of that behind. And it's like, if I misstepped, I sprained my ankle. If I misstepped, I twisted my knee. If I misstepped, I cut myself. It was like one step closer to not being alive. And at some point, it's like, something slapped me across the face and said, whoa, wake up. Put your feet on the ground. Pay attention to what's happening underneath of your feet. It's slippery out here. It's dangerous out here. You could hurt yourself. You could die. Take this seriously. And I just... it was the most present I've ever been in my entire life, in my body, grounded in my body, and every single step was I choose life, survival, I'm doing this for my mom, I'm doing this for Benny, etc. And so I'd say that was profound. Being fully present, I think for a lot of us with so many distractions in life, it's tough for us to be present, and it was an opportunity, let's call it an opportunity, it was forced. It was a beautiful forcing opportunity. But I would say that, something that happened that was completely profound was the one night I'm sitting there, and it was right after I took a fall from 20 feet, jammed my left knee up, was screaming in pain. I'm looking at the sky like, you gotta be kidding me. And hobbled myself over. It was like the next night there was a flash flood. It was pretty much like a flash flood. I was worried at some point that I was going to get swept away down into the sea. And I knew I was far away from the sea. But the water was that strong, and I was sitting in a foot of water on hard rocks that I knew were digging into my skin, but I didn't have another choice. And curled up into a ball, and like the only thing that I couldn't sleep. I was shaking so hard from my adrenals and cold that the only thing I could do was meditate. And it was the only thing that brought me peace. And it was at that moment of complete and utter breaking down of a human being that I reached a state of unconditional love. And Spirit's like, you know, like, you've been asking for this. We're just going to, like, strip all of these layers back. You have nothing else left. You're so raw. You're so vulnerable. The only thing that you have is your wide open heart. And I felt my wide open heart penetrate every single cell of my being, and any kind of dark spots that were in my body, energetically, however you want to think about it, were just lit up. And I felt myself like started to glow as I'm shaking in a foot of water, sitting on a rock in the middle of a flash flood. That was a dark but bright moment. Yeah, that was one for the record books.
Let's go to some local. KHON?
Yes.
Hi, Amanda.
Spiritual journey of having that instinct and intuition.
Did you feel anything different on your last day when Javier's loud voice is screaming out to you, Amanda?
Oh my God. So I've known Javier for a few years. He's crazy. I love him. He's my dive instructor. He's my dive master. We've been working together for a while. It's just so funny that he's the one that came out of the woods. And I'm seeing these guys like come over me in the helicopter, and I can't tell you, my heart just fell through my feet. I mean, I just collapsed. I had a plant in my mouth that I was planning on eating for dinner, and I'm in the woods, and I don't know how they spotted me. I mean, that is a miracle. It's a miracle, because I'm on this tiny, and I knew in the grand scheme of things, I'm on this tiny little piece of rock on the top of this waterfall. How the heck are they going to find me? And then for a second, I'm in the woods, and that second, they find me. It was a miracle. And when I looked up and I saw the helicopter right over me, and he's pointing right at me, I just like fell to the ground and just started bawling. And obviously at that point, I'm like so attentive and like, this is my survival, this is my savior, I'm going to live. And it was the communication non-verbally was very clear. They were like, we have to circle back around, we can't drop down. There was no space there for a helicopter. I mean, and when I just, earlier that day, I mean, I was having visions the whole time. I had this vision of Javier rappelling up the waterfall and peeking his little head out and saying, I got you, girl. and I was like, no way, there's just no way. And when I heard he's like a Tasmanian devil coming out of the bush. And when I heard that Tasmanian devil voice, I was like, just no way. Like, what is, I hear a voice and then I hear this other thing. And I heard, it was like Chris Berquist, and then I heard this other thing, and I was like, that sounds like Javier. And he's like, you know whose crazy voice this is? It's like, oh my gosh, you know, I just collapsed, and it was like the best first hug ever, because what a man. I mean, you know, really, it's just like, he didn't give up on me. And we're friends, but we're not that close. And he wasn't going to give up on me. He was like, I was going to be out there every single day, no matter what. Like, I knew I had to save you. And Chris Berquist, who doesn't know me, you know, it's just these people. I'm just so blown back. There's not a word for my gratitude. There's not a word for seeing this in humanity, seeing this drive and this not willing to give up attitude of like, we're going to save you. You're another human being. You're in my tribe, and like, we're going to get you out of here. It's absolutely incredible. So.
Hawaii News Now.
Hi, Amanda. Lisa from Hawaii News Now. Thank you for speaking with us. Talk about this
Incredible support online, through social media. It can also be a double-edged sword.
Totally.
questions, you know, with your boyfriend and Sarah, like asked for those to rest and different questions of the GoFundMe. How would you like to respond to some of those cynics or skeptics who may be questioning your?
You know what's interesting is like I'm not one for social media, and like you know, I obviously wanted to get lost. I didn't have my 911 services on my phone. I'm like, I had no idea how bad I wanted to get lost. But I don't pay attention to social media. This is what I believe, is that there's a saying, and I'm going to probably screw it up, but, you know, there's a wolf on each of our shoulders. There's a good wolf and a bad wolf, and negative, positive, however you, light, dark, however you want to think about it in this world. I don't believe it has to be in balance exactly, but I do believe that whatever wolf you feed is going to gain power. And so I'm not feeding those wolves. I think there's a lot of confused, delusional people in the world that I'd love to help. And that I'm not going, and I've had a few disrupted people come up to me and say some disruptive things. And I feel bad for them. I mean, really underneath of it all, just like the Buddha, it's like I see their suffering and I see their confusion, and I'm not taking it to heart, and I'm not taking that energy in, is the biggest thing. So that's my recommendation, is like, you can sit here and dig your nose into social media all day and look at all these, I don't even want to know what's on the internet as far as like stories and whatever. And so I'm just choosing not to go there. It's like ignorance is bliss in this case, because I want to focus all of my energy on the positive and like feeding forward, spreading the spark, like let's like come together as a tribe, a community. Let's let the whole world know about this. Let's change the way that we operate as human beings. I'm just ignoring it. And you know, I do want to give thanks to my boyfriend Benjamin. I mean, I know he's still under fire, you know, and without his like perseverance, like he was not going to give up on me no matter what. He knew I was alive. We were communicating in a different kind of way, and through it all, like he took a polygraph. He's like, no big deal. Like, I'll take a polygraph. Sarah barely knows me. She stuck her neck out for me over and over, and continues to. And so I have a lot of thanks for these people that are kind of taking the fall for me, sticking my head in the sand. I understand that. But what I do recommend is that, you know, let's not feed that. Let's just like rise above and look down on it, and then see the suffering underneath of all of it. So.
Maui News? Hi, Sarah. With the Maui News.
Mm-hmm. I can barely hear you. I have bad ears.
As you mentioned, the community's been a huge part of this effort.
Yes.
My husband actually was out searching for police. So this is just something, you know, I know police and fire and others have been out looking, but it is, and I preface this as well as I can, because honestly for me, it could be caffeine, it could be sugar, but was there anything that morning that you ingested or took that could have altered your mental state?
No. So I'm extremely healthy. My mom, you know, I talked to my mom on the daily, and I was like manifesting this whole thing. I'm like, I want to know what it's like to not be dependent on food. I could survive 30 days without food. You know, these are words that came out of my mouth the month before this all happened, which is just crazy. And I'm so careful with my words from now on. Please, everybody, be careful with your words. But no. So I'm trying to think. That morning, I didn't have any caffeine. I'm very careful with caffeine because we all carry typically a load of adrenal shock, and caffeine feeds that. And so I didn't have any caffeine. I got up and I meditated. I cleaned a little bit. I was going to get together with my friend Jen. I had a superfood smoothie, which is like, you know, if you want to know what's in it, it's ashwagandha, which is good for the nervous system, etc., protein powder, whatever. And I had an RX bar, and then I had some water, and then I went hiking. So I really didn't have much in my stomach, and I didn't have any caffeine. I didn't have any sugar. I try to avoid sugar. I definitely didn't have any drugs or alcohol or anything like that. You know, like anybody that knows me and knows my spiritual journey in the last few years knows that I get high off of life, and I get high off of people and heart. And so, yeah, I don't know. Everybody can have their little theories there. I don't care. Yeah.
Star advertiser?
Hi.
You said there was a bigger part at play, and do you think there was destiny that before was lost?
I do. it's not that I think that, it's that I was, it's that I feel to have a pretty good level of communication with what I call spirit, God, source, whatever you want to call it. I have a very strong spiritual relationship. You know, some people aren't comfortable talking about that. I am, because it guides my life. And I will say that the thing that kept coming in over and over again, anytime I had that victim mentality, is that this is not your punishment. This is your destiny. This is your journey. This is part of your path. So after hearing that multiple times, I started to accept that. It was coming into a place of acceptance. Okay, all this stuff is being shed. This is my journey. This is my journey. It's like, you know, it kept coming in. You want to heal people. You want to help suffering. This is your journey. You have to be on this side of things to understand, to move forward, to really help people. And so at some point, probably about halfway into the days that I was out there, I came into a place of complete acceptance of that, where it was like, this is my journey. I have to choose life. There's a reason why I have to keep myself alive. And in my mind, I mean, you know, I understood all that. This is so small within my mind. I'm coming out of the forest thinking maybe my mom's on Maui because she might be worried. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe.
So like I'm just like, I'm not one for the limelight. I'm not like, oh, Amanda disappeared, the whole island's freaking out. I'm like, Amanda disappeared. I wonder if Benny's going to hire another helicopter company tomorrow because they didn't find me today. You know, I mean, it's so small scale. So when I came out of the woods and Javier's like, yeah, there's all these people worried about you. You're on Dateline. I was like, what? Really? Like, your family's here? My family's here? He's like, are you kidding me? So just baffled. Yeah, again, tangent, sorry. But this is so much bigger than me. And I think that's the most beautiful thing, is like, I'm so grateful to be alive. I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh my God, I had a warm bed that I got to sleep in, and my body got to rest and to heal. My ankles are getting stronger. Like, grateful for every breath, grateful for everything. And I hope I never lose that. And I think if I start to, I'll get a strong reminder. Yeah, but the bigger picture of this whole scenario of really what went down is the most beautiful thing is hope and community and aloha and ohana and brotherhood and tribeship and all of that. I can't reiterate enough is that if I start to see like a movement occur in the world, it's like, whoa, I am so stoked that my story could have done that, you know? So.
We need, excuse me, well, we need just a second to prep her for her
I have a doctor's appointment coming. Okay.
Are you here? Washington Post, Guardian? Okay. Hawaii News. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, got it. And did I get Maui now?
I just wanted to ask you really quickly, there were reports that you took a nap while you were in the forest on the first day, I believe. Can you confirm that and just explain why you felt lethargic or felt like you needed a rest?
I didn't take a nap. I did lay on a tree and sit back and close my eyes and meditate. I enjoy meditation. I meditate as much as possible. It's a very peaceful state of mind. I recommend it highly. And it allows us all an opportunity to connect to something deeper within ourselves, something, you know, that's away from the distractions of life. So I meditate as much as possible. And it was just kind of an opportunity to close my eyes, to connect to nature, to feel wind, water, air, you know, all those kind of things. Yeah. But it wasn't like, it wasn't lethargic. It's like, this is my day off. I'm going to lay on this log and close my eyes. So.
And we made it through our list, and we can go around. Oh, did I miss somebody? Oh, they told me it was the same. Okay, great. Sorry.
I'm Paul with KITV. You talked a little bit about that tribal community. I'm sure you probably are aware that there is another missing hiker Noah can cut. And so you have some understanding of what he may be going through and what his family's going through. And I just wanted you to talk a little bit about that, your thoughts on that. And then maybe, John, maybe you can answer as far as I know some of the rescuers are going to help with that, but if more of that is going to transition to this stuff, make everything to help you find you what's going to help them.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I know him secondarily. Kahanu is, she goes to the same yoga studio, Afterglow Yoga, and it's her brother. And on the way, so I've been working with this amazing shaman. Her name is Mary Ellen. She came from Southern Maryland, and she has been a pinnacle part of my healing and understanding of really what is going on and what's happening right now, being able to protect me energetically. And she said to me last night, she goes, I know this is not an opportune time, but Noah needs your help. And I was like, wow, I will give anything. And I felt that this morning. I'm in the car with Mom, and we're on our way, and I said, I need to say a prayer for Noah. It's just coming through me. It's not something I'm thinking. It's something I'm feeling. And it's a different circumstance. I'm just going to call it different. From my understanding, Noah was in a place where he did leave a note, and he wasn't really sure. He's confused, and he's not really sure what he wants out of life at this point. And I can't, the only thing I can do is pray for him, and I can't be boots on the ground right now. But the only thing I could do is pray for him and try to offer him some spiritual guidance so that he can find a deeper sense of being, a deeper sense of wanting to be here and wanting to return to his amazing family, who I know his family through, Maui's small, and I know they're amazing people, and I can't imagine what his dad and his mom and his sister are going through right now with him, going through this. He's going through his own soul's journey to figure out if he wants to be here. So my heart really reaches out to his family, and my heart reaches out to him. Iao is a gnarly place. Everybody knows that. It's a lot scarier, in my opinion, than where I was, given the history. And I guess this is a perfect opportunity, if it's okay, to say I would love to say a prayer for him, and I would love to send that out through these microphones. And I hope that everybody else can sit with me in their hearts and say that prayer from their hearts, that we can all get him back home. If he chooses to be home, it is his choice as a human being whether he wants to be here or not. But my heart really reaches out to Noah, and I'm sorry for whoever's uncomfortable with prayer, but this is just happening right now. So I'm sending a prayer out right now. Great Spirit, angels, teachers, guides, helpers of the light and only of the light. And I'm asking, with all of these hearts and all of these beautiful people behind this prayer today, that we reach Noah, that we are able to touch his heart, to help him in this moment of confusion, to find clarity for his life, his purpose, his self, to find the love within himself to stay alive, to find the love within himself to stay alive for his family, for his community, for his tribe, and all of these beautiful people that only want him in the world. That this is a pinnacle turning point in his life, and that this will serve as a strong foundation for him to build upon, for him to make a difference in the world. I believe and I feel that Noah has beautiful, beautiful things to offer the world, and that this is his opportunity to choose life. And I hope his heart is open. I hope his mind is clear. And I hope he is protected by Mother Maui in those Maui mountains. I send all of my love and all of my support to his family and his friends and the search teams. And I ask that this be taken more seriously than my search. This is an opportunity for us to really, really show up. We have been training. We've been training through my experience, and now let's show up for Noah, right? I do believe that he's going to come out of this a stronger, a wiser version of himself. And I can't wait to meet him. Thank you.
So we have 15 minutes left, and I don't know if I can cycle through everybody one more time. Does everybody really want to ask another question? All right, I'll cycle, and you can pass if you want to pass for the greater good. Paul.
Thank you. Amanda, the thing that I'd really like to see you put the power of the moment on is to talk about search and rescue efforts on the island of Maui, and not the civilian ones. Those that have a policy in place that says after 72 hours, the officials are going to shut down that search. And great if civilians take over. I'm sorry if they don't. Do you have any thoughts about that policy and whether that should be looked at?
I'm just trying to think about how to word this. I knew that was the case. It was like a knowing that that was over. The first day after I went missing, I heard the helicopters, and I was like, okay, great, thank you, Benny. Like, thank you for taking this seriously, calling in rescue efforts, all that kind of stuff. But it was really crazy to me. I spent my entire time, the first week, let's say, just trying to become more visible to helicopters. Those helicopters, I really appreciate the efforts of everybody on all levels that came out to rescue me, especially those that were enforced by the state. There was a difference in feeling between the rescue efforts. And there was something that shifted within the first few days after the rescue efforts of the state stopped. I felt more heart. What I ask is that this be taken more seriously, that missing people be taken more seriously, that on a state level we are able to expand those policies so that we know that our tribe is taken care of. I hope that answers your question. I don't have much more to say than that.
Amanda, knowing what you know now, after having survived in the force for over 2 weeks, what would you do differently when you go back? And any advice for anyone of your
When am I going back? Cell phones are great people. Everybody knows that. I've been strongly against certain systems for a long time, and that was ignorant. So, what I would say is, obviously, I should have had a cell phone with me. There's a GPS locator on there. There's a reason why we carry them all the time, obviously. It's like you could go for a hike by yourself. It's no big deal. Just, take a cell phone, take some water, I just thought I was going for a short little jaunt of, a run and then back to my car. But what I would say is be over-prepared. No matter what. It's it's so funny. I'm always an over-preparer. And I always have food and water and sunscreen and hat, and I always do that. It's just that day, for some reason, I did not. And that's why I believe it was part of my spiritual journey. I believe that it was all these things needed to get stripped away, all these comforts, so that I can go on my own journey. That was just my experience. But I think everybody knows in Maui, it's a friendly jungle. There's not much that'll get you. But still, like, be prepared. You know, sun's gnarly, wind's gnarly, rain, flash floods, you know, and I think anybody that has done any hiking in Hawaii knows, like, take extra precaution and just pay attention to where your feet are and kind of drop into the moment and be present. It can get scary quick, so, yeah.
And I think in terms of when you were missing, would you stay put now, or would you continue to be on the move?
Oh, if they had not found me?